Okay, welcome, ladies. Good afternoon. I'm glad y'all are here. I am Misty Harbor. I'm going to be hosting this Foundations call today. And today we are going to tackle a pretty tough subject. And I'm going to be clear right up front about what the TRK stance is on this issue. And then I'm going to give you some information just because you need to be aware of everything that's out there because there's a lot. So Sombra even provided me with some information today that I included in my presentation. So you guys will be able to see it, and I will be asking Sydney to attach the PowerPoint so that if there's any of that information that you want to look at later, you can go and look it up yourself. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Can everybody see that? All right. So today we're going to talk about the different calendars, which is it's been quite a topic in the last couple of weeks, and it's because there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of differences of opinion on this, and so we're going to talk a little bit about really first off what the TRK stance is, so that you're aware of that. And then we're going to just briefly, I'm going to mention some others, and we're going to, those resources will be on those slides, and you'll be able to go and look that up for yourself later if you have any questions about that. So we are going to get started with, if I can get my computer to cooperate with me. Okay, first off, the calendar is not a salvation issue. It's very important that you know that. You are not going to live or die according to the word by which calendar you are convicted to keep. A lot of people will attempt to make it that way, and I don't believe it's that way. Here's the thing. We know that when the kingdom gets here on this earth, we are going to all know what it really is, what the calendar really is, what the days really are. And when we find that out, we're all going to be in unity and it's all going to be okay. But just because I choose to go one direction and you choose to go another direction does not mean that I should be looking at you and judging you as if you don't have the right to be in the kingdom, because that's not the case at all. And we should not be making others feel that way. And this is a big subject. It's a big, really source of contention for a lot of people. So I want to make sure that we know that it's not a salvation issue, but it's something that gets discussed. A lot of people talk about it. We need to be aware of what's happening. So we're going to start with scripture, Genesis 1:14 and 15. And Elohim said, "Let lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and appointed times, and for days and years, and let them be for the lights in the expanse of the heavens, and give light on the earth." And it came to be so. So what we're seeing in that is that his appointed times are declared by the sun, the moon, the stars. It is a perfect timepiece created by him, which is, it's so beautiful the way that he does things, and we don't even understand it. There's so much to know and to understand about it. So we know that his calendar proclaims his divine appointments, his timetable, his testimonies. So if you'll see there, I've put a picture of a clock. That is a clock that Keisha has on her website. And it is just to give you an idea of the mirror images that are in the months in the calendar. So if you'll look at that in particular, let's look at month 1, because we just went into the month of Nisan, and the opposite of that is Tishrei. So no matter which calendar you follow, Nisan, Tishrei are always going to be that 1 and that 7. So the 1 is the month where all the spring feasts are occurring. The 7 is where all the fall feasts are occurring. So, and then there's Shavuot in the middle there. Now, I was listening to a teaching that Keisha did yesterday. Not that she did the teaching yesterday, but I listened to it yesterday. And she was talking about how the 1 through the 7 would be considered the light part of the year, and the 8 through the 12 would be considered the dark part of the year. Don't think good and evil here, just think light as in spring and new life, and the dark as in that time of refreshing, okay? So we're in the year 5781. Now that's another thing that can be confusing for people. The year rolls over in, well, I want to say September, but that's really not the correct terminology, but it rolls over with Rosh Hashanah, which is the new year. But the way that it got explained to me that made the most sense was you can have different years. You can have a school year, you can have a fiscal year, you can have a calendar year. So there's different years. We follow different years too. The school year is typically from the fall into the spring, and then the summer is out. The fiscal year can be anything. It can be January through December, but it can also be, let's say, April through March. It just depends on how the company is set up. There's options there. So don't let that be an issue. Just know 5781 already turned over a few months ago, but we are in 5781 right now. So the thing about 80 is that 80 is represented by the pay. Now the pay is the mouth. And so we need to be proclaiming his authority. We're going to be in the season of 80 for a decade, and we have lots of opportunities. Not that we shouldn't have been doing this prior to, but there's lots of opportunity for us to be proclaiming his authority, his word, his truth to others. So my question for you is, what are you using your tongue to do? And we're going to look at 2 specific examples. Exodus 13, 7 through 9, we'll read that on the next slide, and James 3. Now, I highly recommend that you go read James 3 in its entirety. I have the whole chapter highlighted in my book because it speaks to me so much about what I'm saying and the words that are coming out of my mouth and where I'm getting those words from and what I'm proclaiming. So I would encourage you to look at that in full. We're going to look at it right here, just a few verses. So Exodus 13, 7 through 9. Unleavened bread is to be eaten the 7 days, and whatever is leavened is not to be seen with you, and leaven is not to be seen you within all your border. And you shall inform your son in that day, saying, it is because of what Yehovah did for me when I came up from Mitzrayim. And it shall be as a sign to you on your hand and as a reminder between your eyes that the Torah of Yehovah is to be in your mouth. For with a strong hand, Yehovah has brought you out of Mitzrayim. So that is talking about the Passover and that Haggadah. We are supposed to speak it. We are supposed to tell our children. We are supposed to proclaim what he did for us. So next we'll look at these few passages that I picked out in James 3. James 3, 3 through 6 and 8 through 9. You'll see they're separated by just a small space down there. Look, we put bits in the mouths of horses for them to obey us, and we turn their body. Look at the ships too. Although they are so big and are driven by strong winds, they are turned by a very small rudder wherever the pilot intends. So too, the tongue is a little member, yet boasts greatly. See how little fire kindles a great forest, and the tongue is a fire, the world of unrighteousness. Among our members, the tongue is set, the one defiling the entire body and setting on fire the wheel of life. And it is set on fire by Gehenna. Then verse 8 says, but no man is able to tame the tongue. It is unruly evil, filled with deadly poison. With it we bless our Elohim and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in the likeness of Elohim. So we are responsible for what we're saying, what's coming out of our mouth. So we need to be speaking truth, love, redemption, His word, His love, His kindness. And then I believe that once you have a relationship, you have an opportunity to hopefully guide someone in the direction when they need correction. And that's a really tough thing to do, but we can learn how to do it. My prayer has always been, and I don't know if I've mentioned this here before, has been I want to be gentle as a dove, but wise as a serpent in my speech to other people. I want to encourage them. I want to love them. I want them to know the story of redemption. And at the same time, I want to be wise about those who would take advantage of my time, my energy, and my efforts, who really have no interest in the things of the Father. And that's a really tough place to be because you just don't know. You don't always know. So it's a hard thing. So I want to just encourage you in that with make sure that when you're speaking that you're giving the word, that you are encouraging, and that we're talking about what he's done for us. We all have testimonies. We all have things that he has encouraged us in and worked with us in. And so I just hope that you will. First off, I would go check out James 3. And also remember Philippians 4:8, when it talks about whatever things are true and lovely and of good report, those are the things that we are supposed to be talking about. So let me see if I can figure out. There we go. So I'm going to go into what we follow with the Rooted Cafe. This is what we will follow anytime that we are talking about what the holy days are and how we're going to be celebrating or when we're going to be celebrating. So I'm going to share my screen with you again. So this is, in technical terms, the Hillel 2 calendar. This is a calendar that was formed after they came out of Babylon. It was formed as a source of keeping the people unified. So what I tried to do was give you some resources of teachers who follow this calendar, and there's a link in this PowerPoint, which again, whenever I get it added to the notes, you'll be able to look these up yourself. First Fruits of Zion is one that follows this, and there is a really great teaching that they have talking about is the Jewish calendar wrong? And I didn't read the entire thing, but it was really interesting about what was happening and how it came to be, and basically that we should defer to the wisdom of the Jewish leadership when there's a question. And so I think that it's important that we take that into consideration. So the Hillel calendar is a predetermined 19-year cycle, and the day is considered from evening to evening, which is how we want to look at it. And I put the month of Nisan on there just so that you could see kind of how it is, so you could see. I have seen some stuff, ladies. I've seen some stuff. I was part of this really small fellowship for a time who said that the Sabbath was on Thursday. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to check it out. And so the gentleman who was leading that group wrote a paper. And so I was like, give it to me. And I mean, it's pretty thick. It's a lot of pages. And so I started reading it, and it was like reading stereo instructions. And I was like, if it's this complicated to understand it, I don't think that this can be the way for me to go. So I believe it should be simple because David was a shepherd, and I believe that things were going to be simple enough that a simple shepherd would understand it, and it'd be clear and concise for him. So I don't think it has to be all complicated. And let me tell you, there's a couple here that were really complicated that I looked at that I thought, oh my word, I don't understand. I'm going to give you my opinion before I go forward with what this is. For me personally, I follow this calendar, the Hillel 2 calendar, for the biggest reason because of unity. I want to be in step with my brothers. This is a well-known calendar. Lots of people follow it. The majority of the Jewish community follows it. And so I want to be in step with them because I want to provoke them to jealousy. And I can't do that if I'm off on my own path and doing my own thing because I know better. They've been doing this a long time. Now, we can get into all kinds of discussions, and I have been in all kinds of discussions about the validity of who they are and what their calendar is and all of those things. But at this point, I have to operate with what I understand, what the Father has given me, and how clear it appears to me. So I'm doing this out of unity. I don't believe this is the calendar. I don't believe that it is, but I do believe that I should be following it because I want to be walking with my brother side by side. So I'm not saying you have to do that, but I am telling you that that is where we are. That's where I am. So we're going to look at a couple of other examples. And like I said, the links are going to be in here, so you'll be able to see that. Let me see if I can get it to do like it's supposed to. There we go. So this was probably the one that I had the most trouble wrapping my head around at all. I do understand what they're doing with it, but it's something that's very different. And one of the concerns that I have about this is the Enoch calendar. I have a friend who went into doing the Enoch calendar for a time. And he was doing a lunar Sabbath. And if you haven't looked at that, please don't look that up because it's very confusing as well. To me, it's very simple and straightforward that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Shabbat. That's pretty straightforward, and it's simple enough that a shepherd can understand it. You just count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Shabbat. According to this lunar Sabbath, that's not at all what it is. And Sabbath can be any day, and it varies depending on the moon. And it's just confusing, and I don't believe that that is of the Father at all. So that is not necessarily a part of this Enoch calendar, but it comes from Enoch, that same concept. And I'm not saying Enoch should not be a book that you should look at or any of those things, but I'm just telling you that this particular calendar is very different, and it's got a set pattern, and the holy days are the same day of the week every single year. So it's just different, and the information is out there. Google it because it's there. It's out there. Now, this one, the sliver-sided moon, is the one that I have kind of been drawn to the most. Nehemiah Gordon and Michael Rood do a teaching on it, and it is, again, you see the sliver, that means it's the new moon. They take the day from evening to evening. There's all kinds of videos out there that you can watch. If you're interested in it, please check it out. Don't take my word for any of this, but if you're interested in it, go look at it. But I'm just telling you, for the Rooted Cafe, we are going to be following the Hillel calendar, and that's what I follow. That's what our congregation follows as well. And we have a wide variance of opinions, even inside our own congregation, of what really is the right way to determine when the month starts. So we choose to follow Hillel so that, for one, it's easy for everybody to know what days to ask off for work, those kinds of things. So, that can be important for somebody who has to have all their days in on December 31st or January 1st. So we have a couple of people in our congregation that work for the government, and so it's difficult for them. So they really need to know in advance. Now, this is the one that Sombra shared with me that I pulled up the information, and it is the conjunction-sided moon, which means the dark of the moon. No?
No, it's sighted moon means seeing the sliver of the moon.
It is okay, because one of the articles I read on his page said that it was why conjunction is right, and I was like, whoa, hang on. So I'm glad you told me. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's the same idea, and the difference is too on this. We were questioning, well, how come Sombra was celebrating Passover last month? Well, one of the reasons is because they follow the sighted moon, and they proclaimed the Aviv barley last month, and so that's why they went ahead with Passover in February. So it's important that we look at these things and understand them for ourselves. It's very important. Now this one I know for sure is the 119 Ministries. They have I think it's 9 videos of teaching on this, and they consider the conjunction sighted moon to be the calendar that we should follow. So I don't know what everybody else's opinion is. We have time for discussion about it, but I will always follow Hillel for the sake of unity. But there are lots of things out there and lots of things to learn. But again, I'm going to go back to the very beginning. This is not a salvation issue. Don't get all wadded up and knotted up about what is going on, because it is not a salvation issue. So be sure that you're not so overly concerned with the situation that it really messes up your doctrine, your ideas, all of those things, because you can get in a mess in a hurry in a lot of things. There are a lot of Hebrew roots factions. There are a lot of messianic factions. There are factions even within the Jews. We have talked about this, but for the sake of unity is what I just go back to. For the sake of unity, Hillel too is the calendar that we look at and that we follow, and we use those dates. And you can do what you need to do for you. Just know when we're talking about it in the Rooted Cafe, it's always going to be the dates that are on the Hillel calendar. Now, I don't know. I'm going to ask Brenda about this. Brenda, for for the counting of the Omer and Shavuot, do you go by the Hillel calendar for Shavuot, or do you put it where first fruits is on Sunday?
My phone is unmuted. Just a little thing.
Just a little thing.
Little thing. We personally go by the Hillel calendar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just us personally.
Sure. Well, and everything else in our
Israel, we want to know when everybody's going to be there, so we go
right.
Show up and it's like, what?
That's the only one that we do differently in our congregation. And I'm not really sure why, but we always just make it to where it's the first fruits falls on that Sunday. And so it's just a difference in the counting of the Omer and what Shabbat you choose to start counting after. So
one thing I love about this discussion is that I've just been reading in the New Testament where we're encouraged greatly, deeply, passionately to have unity one with another. And we can have unity even when we disagree. We can have unity even when we see things a little bit different. We can, and we can still, totally and 100% completely love each other and jump in front of a train for each other. And we can still have differences that would even, that in some places would mark us so that we could never fellowship one with another. And I just think that if we focus on the main things, he's going to sort this all out. He's going to show us all. I admire and love everyone and how they are walking with him. And I can be encouraged and I can be strengthened and our hearts can be united, even if we have differences. And I think that that's going to be one of the things that's going to really propel us. I'm going to start crying, propel us forward in causing others to look at us and say, what is so different about these believers? They're getting along so well, and yet they're coming from all different places. Yeah, why? Because when it boils right down to it, we would all take a bullet for each other. We all know that Messiah Yeshua is our King, and that is what we will focus on. And all of these other little things, hey, I'll be the first one. I'll be the first one in line going, I was wrong. I was totally wrong. I'll be the first one. I'm good with that. I really am. But thank you, Misty, for bringing this opportunity for us to share one with another and say, hey, you know what? It's okay. And if you're not sure, just start where you're at. Start here, and allow the Holy One to begin building and speaking into your life. So it really is all good. And when we say that, that's not just like a little pat on the back. Oh yeah, it's good, it's good, it's good. It really is.
It really is.
It's good.
Yes.
It
Well,
really
and
is.
it goes right back with that Torah portion that we talked about this week. Oh, girl.
Oh, girl, and we're coming into, and now we're in Leviticus. It's like, watch your mouth, watch your mouth, watch your mouth.
Yes.
Like,
Well, and you missed the part where I was talking about that we're in 5781, and 80 is pay. So here we are,
Yeah, so it's really lovely that the Torah portions are modeling out for us how we get to walk in unity. Can you imagine 3 million people being in unity? Because that they all have their own ways, they have their own ideas and stuff, but man, we can do it. We can be in unity, and anything that is not unity, wow, we get to love, right? We get to actually walk out love. We get to walk out the fruit that's hanging from the vine, and we get to absorb that and walk that out. So I'm excited. So sorry.
No, it's good. I was just looking for something, because one of the things that stood out to me when you brought that up about them being, 3 million people and being in unity, one of the things that stuck out to me a couple of Torah portions ago, and I'm not finding where I wrote it down, but
that happens to me all the time.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's in Exodus 30. And it is verse 15, and it says, the rich does not give any more, and the poor does not give less than half a shekel when you give a contribution to Yehovah to make atonement for yourselves. So when we talked about that, we talked about the fact it's kind of leveling the playing field. Yeah. But the whole thing is, for whatever reason in my brain, I never considered the fact that they had rich and poor out there in the wilderness. I'm just thinking they're all, this is this level playing field and everybody's exactly the same. But it only makes sense that they brought this wealth with them, and those who had more because of what was given to them as they left, and those who didn't have had more because of what was given to them. So
some of the Ishas were like on it. When he said, go get it, go to your neighbors, go. Some of those Ishas were like all over it. Like, oh yeah, on my list, I'm going door to door.
I need your mirrors. I need your earrings. I need your bracelets.
Pay myself down. Got 27 earrings up here.
Exactly.
I know some of our Ishas are there.
For sure. Oh,
that's a really wonderful point. And as we're getting into the book of Leviticus, the Holy One is speaking so directly to all those hidden layers within us, like all of the attitudes and all of the judgments and all of the divisions that are inside of us. And he is addressing the attitude along with exterior, but really grabbing a hold of what our attitudes are. So this is a beautiful topic to be, studying in our foundations, because we get to learn to walk without judgment one to another. We get to learn to say, I love your differences. I respect you. I honor you. I mean, it's basically training to be a parent.
Yes, it is.
I love your kids, even when they're very different, even when they have different personalities that rub against you, or it's just It's the way that the Holy One teaches us to love, because love isn't just an easy feeling. Love is a commitment and saying, I will guard you, I will protect you, I will encamp around about you, I will make sure that you have what you need, I will be there for you. That's, you know, that's what love is, not just gooey, feelings.
Yes.
So
And we
wow.
talked about, we talked about our mouth, and we need to be speaking those words of redemption and love and that hesed, that kindness,
Beautiful.
all of the things that we need to be speaking out and telling about what he's done for us.
Yes.
What he did for Israel back in the day, he did for us, and he continues to do for us. He brings us out, and he loves on us, and he doesn't care. He
Mm,
doesn't care how many times we mess it up.
no.
He doesn't care.
Built in. It's built
Ye-
in.
Yeah. And he's so good. He's so good. It's overwhelming. He's so good.
Mhm.
So it's such a great thing. Um, so let me just give you guys the opportunity. If Kathy, do you have any questions or anything about anything we talked about? I always love to hear your insight and your wisdom and what you get out of things, because it just gives me a whole new perspective. It's great.
No, it was just that one question about, because I knew when it started, so I was asking, Brenda answered the other day, but then she said midnight, and so the way you said it, I understood, I think. Yeah,
I gotcha. I know what you're saying.
yeah,
You were saying, is it the 26th? So it's the 26th is the 27th, but it's at midnight. The Gregorian calendar is going to change, but the Hebrew calendar is always going to start, or where we're coming from, the Hebrew calendar is always going to start at sundown. So that's the beginning of the day, is rest. The beginning of the day is that you get to rest. You get to be in comfort, you get to be in sleep, you get to be restored. That's how your day begins.
right. But when you said midnight, then I thought, no, wait a minute, that has nothing to do, so then,
No, I'm sorry, that was the date, the
right,
Gregorian calendar date at midnight changes. Sorry about that.
right. Well, that's one of the hardest things for us, because I so want to even use the calendar of the days of the week the way they should be. And so I mean, our minds just get really confused when
Yeah.
we want to do it the right way.
There's a
Yeah.
lot to know and a lot to learn. I mean, so there's so many differing opinions.
Mhm.
And I mean, sorry, got to clear my mind of that old saying that my mom would have said in that moment. But but there's a lot of differing opinions, and it's okay. It's okay to have differing opinions. You should probably go look up that word hypocrisy in the New Testament and what it really means, because it's not what we think either. So I would definitely encourage you to seek it out. Well, and I know you do, but seek it out and see what are you speaking to me about this, Father, and where do you expect me to be? Where do you expect me to lead this family as the Isha of this family?
Well, I got so confused coming from Christendom and Passover, and I thought the Passover meal that Yeshua had with his disciples was leavened bread. I didn't know it, and it's amazing how much we have still in here, and trying to undo the roots and then build that foundation back up again.
Mhm.
And so, but I'm learning that it's not it. I'm still confused in my thinking on how to process it to my children. So I'm just going to go back to the scripture. I like it. Everybody's been posting. Just do what's in Exodus and then kind of go that direction. But when we're not of the world, but we're in the world, and when everybody's talking, and I'm really this year trying to untangle those things that have been mixed together. Because my kids asked, is this replacement of Easter? And we never really did that per se. And I said, yes, but then is it? So I'm
Well, I mean, I think it's just the opposite. just the opposite of Easter. I mean, because of what Easter, we've come to understand
Yeah.
what it is. So I think it's the complete opposite now. And it's, again, it's that returning of his ways and his walk and that derech of doing what he says, that just as we do it and we're learning and we're stepping into it, he just continues to move on us and help us and guide us. And next year's not going to look the same.
Right.
It's just kind of grows into what it is that he has, the traditions, all of those things. You can have your own traditions. There's nothing wrong with having a tradition. It's just make sure that you're coming from the perspective of the word as you're developing into what you're doing.
Yeah, the
Well,
tradition,
and it's really remembering.
the commandments. The
Say that
tradition
again,
should
Brenda.
never, the tradition should never overshadow the commandment. We walk the commandment, and then our traditions will assist us in walking, maybe assist in walking that out. But the tradition can never replace the commandment. So,
Yes.
say the tradition is that you have an Easter bunny at your house. Well, the commandment doesn't say that. So that's what I'm saying. You're not going to take on a tradition that's going to replace. That's not what we're after. So that's the good part. And the other good part is too, if I may say, I'm just real quick, is that when we gather with leadership, when we gather with those that are really founded in the word, and truly have a solid foundation, somebody that you trust, a rabbi, basically, or somebody that you're really trusting to lead you, then there is safety in that. And even understanding that everybody's human, but there is safety in that. And we are to have leaders. We are to have people that we follow. We are to join ourselves with those that are wise, that are walking in the spirit of Adonai, with the 7 layers of the spirit of Adonai. We are to join with those. And that is something a lot of people, when they're coming out of other facets of their walk, that's really hard for them to join with anyone, because they've felt so abused, and they've felt so lied to, and all of that. And this is all part of the process of us. I love what Kathy said, untangling from the things of the world. And the good news is that the Holy One's got us. And when we just keep our feet on his path, he will guide and instruct us. He really will. And like Misty said, it's not that we're not going to make mistakes. Of course we are. When he said, "Be ye perfect, for I am perfect," when he said that, he didn't say that you will never make a mistake. He said, "Be complete, because I'm complete. Be in me, and we'll be complete together." It's a completely different thought. So we have to, like Kathy was saying, we have to let go and untangle those little pieces that keep us in bondage, and begin walking by the Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, but also having leadership that will guide and direct us, and so it's kind of the best of both worlds, right?
Well, Halissa has a whole Becky book on tradition.
She's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always a good thing. Nicole, I know we can't see you, but I'm really happy that you're here. I've been missing you. I haven't seen a lot of you.
She's been a working girl.
Yeah. Carol, I know you're on the road. Did you have anything that you wanted to bring out or ask any questions about?
I don't know how to use Zoom on my phone. So if I was driving, I wouldn't be able to. I'd probably have the camera right here or something. I have no idea. So.
Oh my goodness. Well, Sombra, I know that you are settled on where you are and how you feel about this. And so I just wondered if you had anything that you wanted to add to the discussion about our unity and those kinds of things.
Unity is really important. And that's, even though I keep a different calendar, I don't want I don't want separation and division. It's hard enough being on a different calendar and keeping the feasts at a different time. And, you know, here I was keeping Passover and you guys were in the middle of Purim, and conversations, you know, you guys are having conversations that I can't join into. I can read them, but if I join in and I speak what I am thinking, it's not going to bring blessing. It brings confusion and division, and I don't want that. And I think that's the important thing, is that no matter where we are, we need to trust that our sisters are walking it out to the best of our ability.
Mhm.
And one of the beautiful things about not being a denomination is when you're in a denomination, you have an authority over your head that tells you how to walk out your faith. But Yeshua said, a man whose head is covered is an abomination. We're not supposed to have our heads covered by someone else. We're supposed to seek and search his face on our own. And when you do that and you come to your understandings, then walking in unity and in love with each other is the most important thing. So
Amen.
I'm kind of glad that I had Passover, because now I can help you guys with ideas about Passover.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that's a cool aspect of that for sure.
And I'm a little frustrated because we were expecting the moon to be sighted. It's the 29th day in Israel. We're waiting for it to be sighted in Israel, and it was cloud covered. Well, so we're going with a 30-day month.
Right. And that's one of those things of, you know, I'm following this because this is what I feel led to do. And yet
Right.
even it has its own quirks and things that are like, oh, well, this is going to mess up this and it's going to mess up that. And
Exactly.
I mean, I get it, you know.
But Kathy, I wanted to help you with regard to the calendar issue. So you have a calendar in your kitchen somewhere that has all the little squares. What I do, or used to do, I have other methods now, but I used to draw a triangle at the bottom corner of my, let's say my Friday. And that bottom corner, I'm going to put in the Hebrew date of my Shabbat. And so really what my calendar then looks like is these little, you know, what are the, polygons? I don't know what they're called. Anyhow, and then you just put the number of that Hebrew calendar day in the bottom corner. And so as you're coming to the end of your day, so, you know, sometimes we write things in order, like you're going to do a morning thing at the top and then an afternoon thing at the bottom. And as you're making your meal at dinner time, you realize, okay, I'm going into the next Hebrew day. And that really helped me to keep my mind focused on what day I'm on. We have this new kind of calendar that a friend made. And so these are the Hebrew days. And so it goes to 29 or 30 days. But then I write in the days based on when I actually sight my moon. And so based on whatever calendar you're keeping some kind of tally like that and keep it visible. Like the other main way that I do it is I actually draw out a week at a time. And I homeschool based on that. I've got great big spaces where I tell what I've done for homeschooling, but it has both calendar dates on it as well. And so I'm constantly having to think about it. And
well, Lion and Lamb Ministries also, they actually offer a calendar that has both days on it, so you can see it with the Hillel dates, but they do have a calendar that has both things on it, so you can see them both at the same time.
And so does
Michael Rood, I think.
Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah is Ralph Messer. He's got a calendar. I think Michael Rood does too. And
yes, but he calls his the astronomically and agriculturally corrected calendar, and so it's a little bit off from Hillel.
Okay. Yeah. Anyhow, there's another beautiful calendar which I don't have at my hand right now, it's a Hillel calendar, but it's in a circle, and the wedges
Oh, I saw
are a
that.
week.
Mhm, mhm.
And oh, it's a beautiful, beautiful calendar.
Yeah,
But I think it starts in the fall.
yeah.
But oh, there's some really beautiful Hebrew calendars out there. And
Hey, would you snap a picture of that when you get a chance and throw it on our Slack? I'd love to see that.
okay,
If
it's
you find it, no biggie.
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Yeah, it's really beautiful. And and then the Hebrew art, the Jewish art is always really, really gorgeous. Like no matter whose calendar you're using, the artwork is just so beautiful. And I'm an art girl.
I know you
like-
are.
I
Oh, yeah.
like pretty things.
Hi, Einagul. It's good to see your face.
It's good to see you guys.
What are you up to?
Chopping wood,
Ah,
so
Very
it's a
good.
bit noisy.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad to see your face. I've been missing your face. Are you
This is
doing
an
okay?
interesting discussion.
I'm glad you liked it. Do you have any input that you want to give us or ask us a question?
No, I had no clue that there were more than one calendar.
Well, I
Well-
actually thought there was only two. Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. Look, you can appreciate this,
Yeah.
Sabra.
Einagul, I'm so glad you popped in and let us see your face for a second. Hey, there's your eyes.
So this is a journal, and it helps you read the Torah portion, and it helps you read through the whole Bible in a year. And I've had 2 of these, but it starts in the fall. But this is another really good way to keep on the Hillel calendar, to keep figuring out what day you're on.
Mhm.
And
well, our portions start in the fall, so that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this is from it's Ariel Media. It's called Daily Bread, a day planner with a unique 1-year Bible reading plan.
Can you type that into the chat for us?
Yeah.
So is that why you had those big old headphones on, Einagul, so you could finish your chopping wood?
Yeah,
Well, I'm
We,
glad you're
we-
listening and being a part.
we cut down a gigantic maple, and so it's taken several days to cut up all the wood.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. That is great. Hard work. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this has been a really great discussion today. I mean, I have enjoyed it. I always enjoy it, but I love hearing different perspectives and getting tips and tricks from everybody. It's just always encouraging, and I'm always writing something down and trying to go get that next book or whatever. I have a couple of books actually that Sabra has recommended on my wish list on Amazon. So someday I'm going to go buy them all, but it's my list keeps getting longer, and my
New
money's
Amazon
not.
gift cards could be so valuable, right?
Right? Yes. Yes,
Amazon gift card.
So will we have another discussion about like the Omer? And I've loved how Sambra's been having like the day. Is that something that's like an app for counting the Omer?
So Sighted Moon is the ministry I'm with, and Pauline in Australia actually makes those graphics for Sighted Moon people to use, but anybody can use them. So if you wanted to, they just say Sighted Moon on the bottom. But in the past, I've just gone and grabbed a picture of anything from anywhere, like a picture of a number, and I've thrown that up on my thing. There's also the traditions of how you count the Omer. Some people count it by counting 1, 2, 3, and some people count it by this is the fourth day of the first week, or today is at sundown, today will be the second day of the third week, or this is 2 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. It all depends on how you want to count it out and keep that track. But yeah, it's fun.
I have a friend that what she does with her grandkids is they have a paper chain. They make a paper chain. So, and they'll write on that piece of paper before they attach it to the chain what day it is. So there's all kinds of ideas out there. I saw a really pretty wooden dial on Etsy of counting the Omer, and it's just, you just turn it with the days, and it's so pretty. I actually saw it on video that Zach Bauer did. I was like, oh, I like that. What is that? So I had to go find it.
That's interesting, because my husband and Ronan both drew a circle, put the numbers on the circle, and then they just have a little sticky note that keeps moving to the days every day. And you know, I've already told you guys I kind of live my life by the Siddur, right? So the prayer book. And so there's at bedtime we count the Omer, and then we do the prayer bedtime Shema. And in here is the traditional prayers for counting the Omer. And so we just go by bedtime.
And Kathy, don't be afraid to Google any of that stuff. I mean, Google is my friend. When I'm like, I don't really know, I will go Google it. Now, mind you, today I struggled with Google, but for the most part, if I can put enough words in there, I can usually get what I'm after.
And I think the really important part is not how you do it, it's that you do it.
Do it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
I love you. I'm feeding you. Ew. Those are your cheeks. I love you so much. Yes.
Absolutely.
That we're doing it. Isn't that right, Sombra? It's that we're doing it.
It's that we're doing.
You know,
And to not
out.
worry,
Yeah.
and to not worry about whether we're doing it perfectly, because just like our babies who toddle along, they fall down and we don't care. We just encourage them to get up and keep trying. And that's what God is. God is just our daddy, and we're trying our best, and we're learning and we're growing and we're getting stronger every day. But when we fall down, he just says, oh, you did such a great job. Keep going. You can do this. You can do this. Keep going. He's not
Yes.
mad at us. I
No.
really feel badly for the people who feel like failure means God doesn't love you anymore,
Yeah,
because that's
Absolutely.
not true.
No, it's not at all. I love that perspective. That's great.
so much.
Yeah, just do it. We'll be,
Just do it.
yeah, well, just do it.
And all of our aunts and uncles are cheering from heaven. You know what I mean? It's like the great witnesses. They're all like, yes, yes, look at them go. Crash and burn. Woohoo! Get up, do it again. You know?
Yep.
They're like, they're just so enjoying that we are, you know, struggling to move forward. That's what we need to be doing. It's like, this is a great race,
Yes.
and we're in it.
Yes.
So we're winners already.
I got a
Yes.
visual of that. Yes. I got a visual of that one time about the being in the race and the great cloud of witnesses, and like, just like you were saying, them being in the stands, being like, you got this, you can do it, go, you know, like your parents would do if you're running a race, and you got this, you could do it, you can go, 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 you know. So they are definitely looking on and being like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, get up, do it again. Just do
And
it.
if we could just love each other like the Lord loves us, then calendar issues would not be divisive.
Correct. That is
all.
correct. Because they don't have to be,
We're doing
but
that.
people make them that way for sure.
Well, people make everything divisive, you know?
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
We can just learn to love and respect each other. And
Yes.
when you're in somebody else's house, you don't speak against how they're running their house.
Right.
You know, you don't tell somebody else how to parent their kids.
Right.
You know,
Unless you want to
you
argue.
just love each other.
Right. Unless you
What'd
want to
you say?
argue, she said.
Well, but who wants that?
Nobody. Exactly.
Yes, that's for sure. Yeah, I love that.
Oh, it's wonderful. Well, ladies, we are just really close to being at an hour, and I definitely want to respect your time and what's going on in your lives this weekend as well. And I would like to just pray us out if you're okay with that. All right. Father, you are so good to us and you're so amazing. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity to break the bread of your word with these ladies and to have greater understanding because of all of their input and their understanding. And I just thank you for the time that they are giving to this as well. I ask that you would just bless them, that you would multiply the works of their hands as they go forth with the rest of this day. And I'm asking the same for me today, Father, that you would just multiply the works of my hands today. You're such a good Father, and I'm so thankful for you. I'm thankful for your presence, for your guidance, for your word. I just ask that you would just bless each and every woman as she goes about her day today and give her a blessed week in the name of Yeshua. Amen.
Oh, beautiful. Love you guys.